Well, hello there and good afternoon from Denpasar Airport, where I'm hanging out in the Garuda Indonesia lounge. Today I'll be flying KLM on over to Singapore in their Premium Comfort or Premium Economy class. This will be my first time flying KLM in this class, and it'll be flown aboard a 777-300ER. So we'll be giving this flight experience a comprehensive review, seeing what's good and what's not so good. But warning, there will be insects inside and outside of the food. But for now, I do have a few hours to kill over here in the lounge, so why don't we take a little bit of a look around and see what they've got to offer in this lounge. It's definitely not the biggest airport lounge that I've seen at an international airport, but it's a little bit cozy. And I am pretty hungry, so let's take a look at what they have to offer when it comes to dining. At first glance, it does seem like there are a lot of options, but let's take a look around. I see sushi, a pasta bar. I think pasta bar might already be the winner for me. And you could get some sauteed vegetables. Looks pretty simple there. Vegetable lasagna. These things are very sensitive to open and close. Chicken Hainan style chicken. Croissants and stuff like that. And I missed the Hainan rice was over here for the chicken as well. I suppose it's just white rice in there with a little bit of, I guess that's dried onion in that recipe. I don't know. And then it looks like they've got a little section of Indonesian specialties like nasi jingo and chicken satay. But the meat is sitting out in the open, and it seems like it could have been there for a while. There's almost nobody in this lounge. I mean, I'll probably give it a try anyway, just because I'm an adventurous eater. But I think there's a chance that it might make you not feel that well. I don't know, I'll try. And then there's like this assorted bread section that you often find, well, kind of all over Asia in lounges. That seems to be a popular thing. There's also a lot of fresh vegetable salad stuff and then some fruit. And I did see that there's some kind of bar here, though I'm not sure if it's actually operating right now, just because I think the next Garuda Indonesia flight might be quite a ways away still. But there is this coffee machine if you just want a coffee. It's a Jura. It's a Swiss coffee company, so they usually have good machines. And I always find it interesting in Indonesia that when you have regular drinking water, it's called mineral water. They don't seem to really do bubbly water that much here. Maybe in a specialty shop or something. They don't have it in this lounge if you're looking for it though. And here is just some, it's kind of like dim sum or something. Well, it's garlic bread, and then below here, I don't know, something fried. It looks like it's been sitting there for a little while. I'm not sure if I'm going to try that one. Here's the real dim sum that I was talking about, and another dim sum. That looks pretty solid, actually. Again, there's nobody in this lounge, and the things do seem like they might have been sitting around for a while. So if everything goes good with the food, you won't hear about it. But if not, then I'll definitely put something at the end of this video. One more touch in this lounge is that there is a bar. But unfortunately for me, it doesn't look like they do barista service. There's just that coffee machine over back that way. And I don't know, you've kind of got to ask the staff to come over to the bar, which I don't really want to do. I don't want to bother them because there's not that many people working in this lounge. But anyway, I'm going to try out some of the food, and then we can go over and see what it's like to fly KLM in their Premium Comfort or Premium Economy class. They have a kind of strange mix of different coffee cups here. Some are Garuda Indonesia branded, some are not. I'm going to take one of the smaller ones that's not. I don't know, long black. It's like an Australian type of coffee. That's how Australians say lungo espresso, I think, maybe. Well, that's a bit of a too long black. I think I just don't know what the drink is, to be honest. I don't know how to shut this off, though, if I don't want all that coffee, so I'm gonna have to drink a big coffee. So I think I'll just start my time here with some coffee. It's not really that good, to be honest. And some beef bolognese pasta. Yeah, do you usually do it with penne or with a regular way? Yeah, please.
One.
No, just that one. Regular bolognese. Yeah, thank you. Beef bolognese. So, a mini spaghetti bolognese. Let's see if it's any good. Ooh, it's a little too hot to eat. It's quite strange. It seemed like the guy was cooking this with butter. Indeed, I think there's butter in here. I guess if you're super hungry and you're sitting over at the airport in Bali and you're flying SkyTeam and you have access to the lounge, this lounge will give you a lounge experience of some kind. It's definitely nothing to write home about though. And since we are in Bali, Indonesia, I'll give some of the satay a try. I don't know. Cold satay, it's not all that great. And this here, this is the nasi jingo. This is arguably the most famous street food from Bali. It's very cheap everywhere outside of the airport. Technically it's free in this lounge, but you know, I've only eaten it a few times, so let's give it another try. It tastes pretty much like from the street vendor. A little bit of coconut. This is tempeh. Chicken, I think. And usually you'd probably put some different sauces or something on it. I'm gonna take it easy though, because I've got some more food to eat aboard my KLM flight, and I'm just taking a flight today, so I'm not gonna go too crazy. But again, about this lounge, I'm of course not flying Garuda Indonesia today, so I'm not reviewing that airline in terms of their in-flight experience or anything like that. But for being a 5-star airline, the lounge is a little bit lacking maybe. I mean, it has basic facilities, don't get me wrong, but when you compare it to any other airline lounge that I've ever been to in Asia, it's just not as good. And I mean, I personally don't have a huge problem with the food here, but you usually want to cover the food in the lounge when it's sitting around for hours on end. And I don't know if you've ever tried one of these palm seeds. They're actually pretty good, but my wife did just take a bite into one and there's some ants inside of the fruit. Ants. Ah yes, and this lounge is kind of weird in the sense that there's this area. You actually just enter the lounge right here. Like you could literally just step over this thing and you're outside of the lounge. But here's the lounge. And the thing is, inside of these doors, it's very air conditioned. But here it's not that air conditioned. So in the middle of the day, I think it's probably pretty hot. But right now it's almost dark. So it's definitely hotter than inside the lounge, but it's tolerable if you've got to sit out here, if the lounge were to get full. But I'm not sure how full this lounge ever gets. And one other thing, despite this lounge not being that big, it does have a few different seating options, and I'm sitting over here where there's some chargers and stuff, so it's kind of nice. But I just started trying to use the internet, and I did a speed test. And this is the slowest internet I found anywhere in Bali, actually. It's just super slow. So if you are planning to like do some work here and you need fast internet, well, you might want to plan to go somewhere else, to be honest. But I guess you can always use 5G data or something. I don't really have a good solution for you though. But anyway, let's go check out this KLM flight. And it's looking like my flight's going to be on time, so let's head on over to the gate. It should be about maybe a 10-minute walk. Thank you so much, bye. And I've just made it over here to the gate. To be honest, this boarding process could be very organized, but it looks a little bit chaotic just because Denpasar Airport needs an expansion, honestly. Essentially, Sky Priority gets zones 1 and 2, and then you've got 3 and 4 for the rest of the economy class, I assume. And they've just started the boarding, slightly late according to what the ticket would say, but actually 1 minute earlier than what they posted at the gate. Thank you so much. Thank you. And it's quite an interesting boarding process, actually. So they've got those 2 first groups in the middle, and they let those board first. Well, group number 1 boarded slightly before group number 2, but actually they called up group number 2 before 1 was even done. But actually I have 3 different people checking the tickets there, so it went relatively fast. And then there's the separate business class entry, and I'm assuming I've got to go through the economy, although I wish I had gone through the business class just to see what business class on this newly outfitted 777-300ER looks like, because I haven't even seen it in person yet. But here we are, almost to the airplane door. So let's see what this flight in premium economy, or correctly said, KLM Premium Comfort is like. Hello, good evening. Thank you. Enjoy your flight, sir. Hello, how are you this evening? And I got a little special treat today. This is the back part of the business class. Doesn't look like the most modern business class I've seen, but it looks like it would be very comfortable. If it were more than a 2-hour flight, I might have booked it. And here I've made it to my premium comfort seat. Looks like someone else was just sitting here. It's not all that clean, but let's see what it feels like in just a second after I put my bag up. But overhead space in this front bulkhead seat, half of it's missing. Premium comfort. When I sat down, as you can see, this thing was only halfway down. So it seems like there are 3 different sitting positions. So let's see if I can't get it in to the takeoff sitting position, like that. And just taking a little bit of a look around, this is a pretty old 777, but these seats do have a slightly newer feel. And this whole reading lamp thing, I don't know what to think about it. What do you think about it? But it's pretty well equipped for a short flight. You've got USB-C, normal USB, and a whole charger back here. Unfortunately, missing is an amenity kit, but I do believe they give those out on all of their longer 777 flights with premium comfort installed. And these headphones seem to be comparable to what you'd find in a business class more than an economy class. It says KLM noise cancellation, so we'll give those a try once we take off. But it is worth noting that there are not that many premium comfort seats on this plane. There are only 24. Compare that to business class, it's probably double the size. And considering that premium economy is pretty popular these days, I would assume this cabin is often booked out, when economy might not be booked out, and then business class would also maybe not be booked out. But one huge positive of this seat that I've chosen in row 11 is that the bulkhead means I have a ton of legroom. So So the seating area itself does feel premium. I think premium comfort or premium economy is the right label here. But what really doesn't feel premium is how dirty it is right around me. Like, they didn't really clean the aircraft that well. And I think it did just come off a long haul flight from Amsterdam, if I'm not mistaken. So they're probably just thinking, okay, let's do this short flight over to Singapore and then we're gonna have the real cleaners come on. I don't know. Like, essentially it feels like nobody actually cleaned the aircraft. So if that's what they're doing on these flights every day, because they have a flight every day from Denpasar over to Singapore at 8:35 p.m. I believe it is, then I would propose that on the ticket they just put that no cleaning will be provided before the flight. Because the prices for this KLM flight just flying to Singapore is very low, and it's competing with all of the low-cost airlines pretty well. In fact, I think this was cheaper than all of the low-cost airlines on the day that I booked it, including my baggage, but sitting in this premium comfort seat. Well, on those low-cost airlines, I'd be, packed like sardines. But as far as cleanliness goes, I digress. I mean, I don't know if it's like this every day or not. Today it is.
Almost ready for departure. We're just finishing up the last few items here once we close the door, so stuff like the flight time takes 2 hours and 10 minutes.
And everything's really seeming quite on time. I think we're going to be in Singapore probably even early. But there's one reason that I was really interested in trying out premium comfort class on KLM. And that's because they have a nice in-flight menu. But upon boarding, I didn't see any menu available. There is a magazine down here, your typical safety card and all that kind of stuff. I think usually there'd be a menu there, but I'm just going to ask for it then. Let's see if I can get one, just to get an idea of what I'll be eating on this flight. And it's definitely a full menu. And by the way, while I look at this menu, the crew is going around and kind of reseating people, I believe, because it turns out this flight, outside of premium economy at least, is pretty empty, and they've got to balance the weight on the aircraft. But anyway, as I look at this menu, I'm realizing that this is really for the long haul flight. It's got the main meal listed and the breakfast listed. There's definitely not going to be any breakfast on this flight, unless maybe the main meal will be served on this shorter 2-hour, 10-minute segment that I'm taking. We'll see. But other than that, they do have a full drinks menu. And to my understanding, this Bowls Espresso Martini is actually something special in this class. I'm just not drinking alcohol today, but that would be an interesting thing to try for someone else that was drinking alcohol. And then for the non-alcoholic drinks, that's a pretty good selection as well. And one kind of strange thing is that they're serving fresh milk on the flight. I don't see that often on airlines anymore. And it seems that the weight distribution actually led to some guy sitting nearby me to be reseated while his wife had to stay back in normal economy class. That's always kind of a bummer. I hate when airlines do that. But anyway, we just started to push back. There's a few interesting aircraft here at this airport too. There's an Emirates A380 that I think might have already taken off, but as I was boarding, it was still there. And then just parked next to this aircraft, I can see a Turkish wide-body, a Qantas wide-body, and a Swiss wide-body. So Denpasar is a pretty popular destination. People love Bali, so there's a lot of different airlines flying here.
On behalf of the entire crew and KLM, we wish you a very pleasant flight to Singapore.
And just about 5 minutes after pushing back, we're at our final takeoff runway, and it looks like we're about to take off. And our takeoff was super immediate, and then right at 10,000 feet, they just popped the seatbelt sign off. So now we are just cruising over Bali, but I'm really interested to see what this entertainment system is like. So let's take a look. It's a fold-out screen in the bulkheads. And I think these headphones are a really smart move by KLM to discourage anyone from just taking the headphones from the plane, because you would not be able to use this on almost any device. But okay, there is one other positive to these that are good for you. This is a magnet, which means it would be basically impossible to break the headphone jack. But for an economy class screen, I do find this one really reactive to the touch, and if I was taking like a 10-hour, 12-hour flight with this aircraft, I'd be more than happy. The only thing is, there's not like a huge selection of movies. I think there may be more selection on their transatlantic flights, although you'd think it would just be the same on all flights. I don't know. But the whole entertainment system feels modern, it feels good, and I like using it. So far everything is feeling pretty premium, like different than economy class. But I do need to use the restroom, and I just noticed. Well, actually I already knew this, but I kind of forgot. The bathroom is the economy class bathroom. You can't use the business class bathroom here. You've got to go back, not up. But although it's less than ideal to have to go to a different class just to use the bathroom, this economy class bathroom is not that bad. The only thing is, they could probably make it more of a premium economy class bathroom just to give some kind of premium comfort, I don't know, feel to the whole experience. Anyway, it's pretty spacious. I mean, we're in a wide-body aircraft, and I think it does the job pretty okay. But even though the seatbelt sign is still off, we've definitely hit some turbulence, so I'm gonna rush back to my seat right now. And it turns out that they pass out the menus after takeoff. So let's take a little bit of a look at what the actual menu for this short flight is going to be. Basically, as far as food goes, the menu is a little bit of a waste of paper because you don't have any choice. You just get the beef dish with some cake and I guess a starter of some salad or something like that. And now that we have hit altitude, I'm just testing out the entertainment a little bit more. There are a few more movies than I thought at first. I just didn't see all the sections, to be honest. But it does still feel a little bit short of what you find on transatlantic flights flying KLM in my experience. And these headphones do a pretty solid job of noise cancellation. Though that massive 777 engine next to me did break a Guinness World Record and it's kind of loud. The meals should be coming around pretty soon, so I'm interested to see if, even though I don't have any choice in what I eat, if it's some good food or not, basically. And it is worth pointing out that as far as I know, you can order special meals on this flight, but obviously you have to do that way before the flight. But I didn't feel the need to pre-order any meal on this flight. I just wanted to see what they're giving out, to the average person that didn't pre-order anything. And we are now around 45 minutes into the flight, but the thing is the crew hasn't started service yet. A little bit delayed here, especially for a short flight like this. So I'm just hoping that they come around pretty soon. Otherwise, I'm going to be eating on descent. But honestly, if I had to say anything about the crew on this flight, that's exactly how it's been. I basically haven't seen them, and there's not that many crew working this flight anyway. They did mention that they'll be switching out the crew in Singapore, and I suspect that on the longer flights there will be more crew members, because right now it's just not that many, and they're not very present. And chances are that there are some crew members assigned to business and some assigned to economy, and then one or two of them have to do premium economy after that, so I'll be the last one to get service on this flight, most likely. Thank you.
This is beef. Here we go.
Beef rendang, right?
So you had the right menu?
Ah, okay.
Only the dating card.
Oh, I had both menus. Your last flight and this flight.
Oh, okay.
That's okay though.
Yeah.
So basically, you get a nice little meal that looks more like an economy meal than a business class meal for sure. Still nice. And there's some flowers in the salad. That's a cool touch. And of course it is real silverware, but that's to be expected in a premium economy class. And the main dish is pretty good. Although I have to say, it's kind of spicy to be serving to everybody without giving a second option. I mean, there are like some separate chilies here, but actually the whole thing besides the rice is just kind of spicy. I mean, I like it, but if you're not a fan of spicy food, it might not be the greatest meal for you. You might want to pre-order. And it's only dessert left for me now. Let's see how this is. Kind of strange looking thing. It's good. It's like a cream caramel type thing. Oh, it's green from pandan. Obviously they load the catering in Indonesia because spicy food, pandan. But I'm actually enjoying this meal. This is pretty good. Definitely better than I've had really in any economy class, really. And when the crew did finally come around, they were pretty chatty, pretty nice. So I think they might have just been a little bit busy with the weight distribution or whatever, and there's not that many people working on this flight, so here's what it is. And as it turns out, the only drinks that they have that are actually unique to their premium economy class are alcoholic drinks, and I'm just not going to drink alcohol today. But the selection for drinks was definitely decent, and it's nice that they do have some premium cocktails. Plus, the flight attendant did mention that the airline is currently in the process of introducing some mocktails to the Premium Comfort too. But just one more observation about the crew, well, not being all that present. Like I said, they're very kind, chatty, and all that stuff. But again, this meal was served about 30 minutes ago and they haven't come back since, so everyone's just kind of sitting, with their empty meal trays, just waiting for someone to take them away. And it makes it a little bit hard to get up or do anything really. So I do wonder if on their longer flights it's the same situation, or if they don't have some extra crew that are assigned mostly to the Premium Comfort cabin. But regardless, it's probably not a deal breaker for if I choose to fly this KLM class again. But before our descent, I was lucky enough to track down the flight attendant and grab one of these nice KLM coffees that, according to him, is Dutch coffee made with Singaporean water. It tastes like any other decent airplane coffee to me. But I haven't had the chance to just test out the Wi-Fi yet, so let's take a look and see what's available on this flight. And alright, if you wanted to actually buy Wi-Fi, 1 hour would cost you 10 euros or 2,000 KLM Air France Flying Blue, or the full flight would cost you 4,400 miles, or 22 euros. That's a very terrible deal for a 2-hour flight. Actually, they should just be giving this out for free by now, but okay, they're not. Most European airlines aren't doing that yet. But they definitely will start offering more free Wi-Fi soon, though, as Wi-Fi gets a little more advanced, and they'll just have to do it to compete, honestly. But anyway, you do get free messaging on this flight, and it was super easy. It says it's active now. I can't think of anybody that I need to send a message to right at this moment using any of the apps available. So I guess I'm going to assume that active means it works. Usually messaging for free onboard does work, so hopefully it does. And in the KLM pop-up, there's also like the option to, go to the map or see my trip. But I actually can't get any of that to load. I don't know if that's just a temporary issue with the internet or what. In the past on other KLM flights, it has loaded for me, so I'm not really sure. But we've now got 40 minutes left in the flight, meaning we're about to start our descent. So for me, the real question here is flying premium economy on KLM worth it or not? And in this case, based on my experience here, it was definitely worth it because I paid $101.44. To sit in the back in economy, it would have cost me around $80, so it was basically $20 more. And it has been a little while since I've flown KLM in regular economy, but this was definitely an upgrade from that. So on these shorter flights between Indonesia and Singapore, you can probably score a pretty good deal. In fact, I also saw the business class is often going for around $100 more than what I paid for premium economy. So maybe check that out too. The only real downside with that business class is it's like a business light fare, meaning it doesn't include lounge access. The way I got into the lounge was just with my SkyTeam Elite Plus status. So to be honest, it always helps to have status. And just thinking back to that lounge experience, this is one of the first times I've actually had a better dining experience on board a plane than in the lounge at the airport. It's really not every day that you can say that. And even though the aircraft was not that clean on boarding, it hasn't gotten any cleaner either. I have to say my experience in this premium comfort class has been pretty satisfactory. And in the future, if fares are very similar for economy and premium comfort, I'll definitely fly in premium comfort again. That said, on a longer 12, 13-hour flight, this seat might not be that great after, say, 6 hours, and you're definitely not going to be able to sleep for like a long time like you would be able to in a lie-flat business seat. So if we're talking a 10, 20, maybe 30% difference in price between the regular economy ticket and this premium comfort ticket, then I'd say probably go for it. But if we're talking like 50%, 100%, then I'd probably reconsider. Oh yes, and we wouldn't have reviewed this seat properly unless we checked out this reading light, which has different brightness levels. I actually really like this, even though it's kind of in the way of everything. But what about you? Have you flown KLM's premium comfort class before? What did you think? Or are you planning on flying it in the future? We'd love to hear about it in the comments. But I think that's about all I can do for this one after that Balinese heat and trying to walk through traffic over to the airport today. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, then make sure to give it a like. That really helps get it to as many travelers as possible. And make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for many more travel videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.